Hello, everyone. My name is Rene Perez. Today, I'm going to be focusing my presentation on family culture and how it influences our conversations, daily conversations on mental health. My main research question asks how does family culture influence attitudes and conversations about mental health? I chose this topic because in many families, especially in Hispanic, Latino households, mental health is not always discussed openly. So I wanted to explore how this affects support, how it affects stigma, and how it affects help seeking. So for this project, I used a focus group. So I chose a fake focus group for this method. Um, I held a discussion with three of my family members, which included my two older sisters and my younger cousin. So these participants pretty much, share a similar cultural background, Hispanic, and obviously we grew up together. Um, and the the answers that they gave me provided me with lots of rich insight into you know expectations and attitudes towards emotions and mental health. So the focus group lasted about an hour or so, and we talked about our experiences, our beliefs, and the challenges related to mental health. So I recruited participants, my family, through personal communications since I already knew them. So I just pretty much asked them in person on Thanksgiving Day. So before starting, I obviously explained, confidentiality. I went through, the confidentiality and asked them to share only what they feel comfortable sharing with, um, and obviously, they were given the option to participate or not participate, or stop whenever they wanted to. So I also prepared some open-ended questions, that encouraged a bit of honest conversation, and obviously I took notes, throughout the session to record the themes and just the quotes. So I guess this kind of helped create like a safe environment where everyone was able to speak freely and without feeling judged. So four major themes emerged from this focus group. The first and most important one that I found was stigma and silence. So this means, you know, um, most of the times, especially in Hispanic households, um, expressing emotions is often seen as a sign of weakness. Which um, naturally will lead people to hide, their emotions or not talk about them because they're not being taken serious in the first place to begin with. So, a lot of people choose to stay quiet rather than talk about or express their emotions. So the second theme was the strong caregiver identity. So this is where taking care of like others becomes a priority over one's own mental health. Um, the third theme, the third theme was the strong. Um, I'm sorry. The third theme was the barriers that affected them from seeking help or professional help. This included the cost, um, the fear of being judged, and pretty much just the lack of understanding. Um, and finally, the fourth theme was the positive impact of open conversations. So I've noticed right away, and honestly, as a peer support specialist, this is something that I see every day, and I try to mimic that. I try to mimic that same environment, and try to provide them with a safe space for them to open up and talk about their mental health with their mental health issues. Um, and obviously, like I said, this made them feel supported and less alone. So this is, I guess, one like a key thing to breaking the stigma. So here are just a few quotes that reflect the themes. One participant said they talked about how in the family, mental health wasn't always something that you talk about, you know. So the best thing to do was just to keep quiet. And then somebody else shared that therapy felt impossible at first because it was either too expensive or it was too hard for them to find people that clicked with them and made them feel unjudged, like they were not being judged for their mental health struggles. And finally, someone said, you know, talking about it together made me realize that I wasn't alone. So, you know, these quotes highlight, you know, the stigma and the barriers and the communication that shape our experiences. So there was a few unexpected findings throughout this project. One surprising finding was that all three of the participants felt pressure to be emotionally strong. Um, Another unexpected result was that they learned more about mental health from friends or social media rather than from their own family. And, you know, support was stronger from peers rather than, you know, older generations, our grandparents, our uncles, aunts, adults in our lives. They lacked that that what our friends give us. So this just shows how, you know, generational gaps and gender roles impact how we talk about mental health. So there are several opportunities for future research. One idea is to explore the differences between the generations and how one's age influences mental health beliefs. Another one is to compare men's and women's experiences, since gender expectations play a big role. It is also valuable to look at how immigration stress, language, and culture shape stigma and access to care for many of Hispanics. And in conclusion, finally, the family culture um, is something that definitely influences whether mental health is discussed openly or not. And I learned also that silence obviously creates stigma, but honest conversations help people feel supported and more, um, and this makes them more willing to speak or to seek help. So something that I personally learned from this experience is that meaningful conversations can reduce fear and the shame that a lot of people feel. I honestly enjoyed hearing my family's perspectives, and it motivated me to continue advocating for mental health and education in families. Overall, I like this process because it encourages connection, it encourages understanding, and it definitely encourages healing. So yeah, that is all for today. So thank you.